Imagine a canvas, but not one confined to a gallery. This canvas is the arid, stony surface of the Peruvian desert, stretching for over 500 square kilometers. Upon this vast, open floor lies one of the world's most perplexing archaeological enigmas, a series of markings so massive, they defy comprehension from the ground. They are the Nazca Lines, and for nearly 2,000 years, they waited silently in the desert, their true grandeur hidden from humanity, their purpose a secret swallowed by time. Who created these colossal figures, a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, that can only be fully seen from the sky? And why? Were they messages to the gods, a giant astronomical calendar, or perhaps, as some have wildly speculated, landing strips for visitors from beyond our world? This is a puzzle where ancient ingenuity meets extraterrestrial speculation. On this channel, we journey into the heart of the ancient world, and today, we are unraveling the mystery of the Nazca Lines. If you're fascinated by the unsolved riddles of our past, make sure you subscribe to Ancient Odyssey so you don't miss a single discovery. So, let's ground this mystery in the facts. What exactly are we looking at? The Nazca Lines are not just a handful of sketches, they are a vast, complex collection of geoglyphs, designs formed on the Earth's surface, located in the Nazca Desert of southern Peru. Created between 500 BCE and 500 CE by the pre-Inca Nazca culture, this open-air gallery consists of over 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and some 70 biomorphs, which are drawings of animals and plants. The sheer scale is almost impossible to grasp until you consider the dimensions. Some of the straight lines run perfectly straight for over 30 miles, while the individual figures are equally massive. The hummingbird has a wingspan stretching over 200 feet. The pelican is nearly 1,000 feet long. But perhaps the most famous of all is the so-called astronaut, a curious figure that looks like a large-headed being standing on a ridge, seeming to wave at the sky. The preservation of these lines for 2 millennia is a story written by the environment itself. The Nazca Plateau is one of the driest places on Earth, with minimal rainfall and almost no wind. The construction method was deceptively simple, yet brilliant. The artists removed the top 12 to 15 inches of rust-colored, sun-baked pebbles and dust, revealing a lighter, sand-colored subsoil beneath. This created a striking contrast, and because the layer of dark stones on the surface acts as a protective shield, preventing the lighter soil beneath from being eroded, the lines have remained remarkably intact. From ground level, they appear as shallow grooves or paths, but it is only from a vantage point high above that the true, magnificent forms reveal themselves. A feature that has fueled endless speculation about why a people who could never fly would create art that can only be fully appreciated from above. And this brings us to the first layer of the mystery that we can actually solve: the how. When we stand before these gargantuan figures, our modern minds immediately leap to complex technologies, even supernatural assistance. But the truth is a profound testament to human ingenuity and simple, brilliant engineering. The Nazca people did not have blueprints from aliens or advanced machinery. They had an intimate understanding of their environment and a mastery of rudimentary tools. The process began with a design, likely drawn on a smaller scale, perhaps on a cloth or a pottery shard. To scale these designs up to hundreds of feet, they employed techniques that surveyors would still recognize today. Archaeologists, through experimentation, have demonstrated that a team of workers could have created these lines using simple materials such as wooden stakes and cord. They would first outline the desired figure on a small plot. Then, using a central axis line, they would scale it up by setting a series of stakes connected by cords into the ground, effectively creating a series of guide points. To create a perfectly straight line stretching for miles, they might have used just 2 stakes. By lining up a third stake with the first 2, and then a fourth with the second and third, they could extend a perfectly straight line across the vast desert floor, correcting for the curvature of the Earth through simple line of sight. For the complex curves of the animal figures, they would use a series of much smaller, interconnected straight lines, effectively creating a polygon that, when viewed from a distance, resolves into a smooth, graceful curve. Once the guide points were established, teams of people would simply sweep aside the dark, iron oxide-coated stones, exposing the light-colored clay and gypsum beneath. The stability of the desert climate did the rest, preserving their work for centuries. It was a monumental effort, yes, but one achieved not with magic, but with math, patience, and an organized community. So, if we can understand how they were made, the far more tantalizing question remains. Why would they go to such extraordinary lengths? This is the core of the enigma that has captivated archaeologists, historians, and rogue theorists for decades. Why dedicate such immense communal effort to create art that you can never truly see? The answer is likely as complex as the lines themselves, and while we may never know for certain, several compelling theories have emerged from decades of study. The leading hypothesis, championed by the pioneering researcher Maria Reich, who dedicated her life to preserving the lines, is that they were a vast astronomical calendar. Reich proposed that the lines and figures pointed to key celestial events, such as the solstice sunrises or the rising of certain stars and constellations. For an agricultural society living in one of the world's driest places, tracking the seasons for planting and rainfall was a matter of survival. The spider, for instance, might be linked to the constellation Orion, while other lines could have mapped the movement of the sun. However, later, more rigorous computer analyses have shown that while some lines do align with celestial bodies, not all do, suggesting this might be only part of the puzzle. Another powerful theory posits a profound religious and ritualistic purpose. In this view, the Nazca Plateau was a sacred landscape, a giant temple without walls. The act of walking the lines, some of which form intricate, labyrinth-like paths, could have been a form of spiritual pilgrimage or a ceremonial procession. The biomorphs, that is, the animals, may have represented totemic deities or spirits central to their belief system. A monkey, associated with water in Andean mythology, or a hummingbird, a powerful symbol of resurrection, could have been offerings or prayers to the gods. The fact that the figures are best viewed from above fits neatly into this idea. They weren't for human eyes, but for the gods in the heavens. This leads to a related and fascinating concept. The lines may have been part of a water cult. Water was, and still is, the most precious and elusive resource in the Nazca Desert. Some researchers have noted that many of the lines lead towards underground aquifers or are located near sources of water. The geoglyphs could have been a way to appeal to the mountain deities, summoning the life-giving water that meant the difference between life and death. This tapestry of theories, ranging from astronomical, religious, and hydrological, paints a picture of a sophisticated culture deeply connected to its environment and cosmology. Yet, for all the grounded theories proposed by archaeologists, none have captured the public imagination quite like the one that suggests we are looking at the handiwork of visitors from another world. This idea, most famously propelled by Swiss author Erich von Däniken in his 1968 blockbuster Chariots of the Gods, proposes that the Nazca Lines are nothing less than an ancient airfield. In this dramatic interpretation, the long, straight lines were runways for extraterrestrial spacecraft, and the elaborate animal figures were signals or landing beacons for these ancient astronauts. The so-called astronaut figure on a hillside is held up as prime evidence, a being seemingly in a spacesuit, seeming to greet the cosmos. The core of the argument is seductive in its simplicity. Why would a primitive culture create such massive, intricate designs that are only visible from the air, unless they were created for an audience that could fly? The persistence of this hypothesis speaks to a deeper, almost romantic human desire for mysteries that defy conventional explanation. It emerges from a place of awe, and on the surface, it seems to logically answer the question of the line's invisibility to their creators. Furthermore, when viewed through a modern lens, certain features do superficially resemble airport runways or directional markers. However, while it's a compelling science fiction narrative, the theory begins to unravel under closer scrutiny. We've already established that the Nazca people possessed the simple technology and organizational skills to create the lines without any external help. More importantly, the alien runway theory ignores the cultural and archaeological context of the Nazca people entirely. We have found their pottery, their textiles, their settlements, and their burial sites, all of which display the very same artistic styles and motifs seen in the geoglyphs. The spider, the monkey, the killer whale. These are all creatures featured prominently in Nazca iconography, deeply woven into their spiritual worldview. To attribute the lines to aliens is to strip the Nazca people of their own incredible intellectual and artistic achievement. It is a theory that solves one mystery by inventing a far greater one, and in doing so, it overlooks the true marvel, the profound human capacity for creation, faith, and understanding of the natural world. But if the alien theory falls short, what does modern science, with all its new tools, have to say about these ancient wonders? The answer lies in a powerful combination of cutting-edge technology and a renewed focus on on-the-ground archaeology. In recent years, scientists have moved beyond simply staring down from the sky and have begun walking the lines with a new purpose, armed with tools that the pioneers of Nazca research could only dream of. Satellite imagery, ground-penetrating radar, and drone photography have revolutionized our understanding, revealing hundreds of previously unknown, smaller geoglyphs that are often more complex and older than the famous ones. These new discoveries include human-like figures and elaborate scenes, suggesting the tradition of creating geoglyphs evolved over many centuries. Drones, in particular, have been a game-changer, allowing archaeologists to create highly detailed 3D maps of the lines and the surrounding terrain, revealing subtle patterns and relationships with the topography that were invisible before. This technological leap has been matched by a shift in archaeological thinking. Instead of seeing the lines in isolation, researchers now view them as part of a larger, integrated ritual landscape. The focus has turned to the puquios, which are sophisticated spiral-shaped aqueducts the Nazca built to tap into underground water sources. The fascinating discovery is that many of the lines are strategically located in relation to these water sources. This has solidified the theory that the geoglyphs were part of a grand, ceremonial system designed to invoke and thank the deities for that most precious commodity, water. Walkers moving along the lines may have been following a ritual pathway from the geoglyphs to the puquios, connecting art, religion, and survival in a single, continuous practice. Furthermore, analysis of pottery shards and organic remains found at the endpoints of some lines suggests they were sites for feasting and offerings, places where the community gathered for ceremonies that were both practical and profoundly spiritual. Yet, even with all this new data, mysteries persist. Why are some lines and figures superimposed on others, as if the canvas was being reused over generations? What specific rituals were performed, and what did each individual figure truly signify to the person who walked its path? The Nazca Lines have begun to yield their secrets, but they have not yet surrendered them all. They remain a dialogue with the past, one where every answered question seems to reveal a new, deeper layer of inquiry. And so, we are left standing in the vast silence of the Peruvian desert, the whispers of an ancient civilization echoing around us. The Nazca Lines do not give up their ultimate secret easily. They remain a powerful riddle, a message etched into the very skin of the earth. But perhaps in our search for a single definitive answer, be it astronomical calendar, sacred pathway, or alien runway, we have been missing the larger point. The true message of the Nazca Lines may not be a specific instruction or a map, but a profound testament to the human spirit. It is a declaration of a people's desire to connect with the cosmos, to appeal to their gods, and to leave an indelible mark that says, "We were here." They took the greatest canvas they could find and used the simplest tools to create a legacy that would outlast their empires, their language, and even their memory. They built not in stone, but in the earth itself, a gallery meant for the heavens, ensuring their prayer, their science, and their art would endure for millennia. The lines challenge our modern arrogance, reminding us that ancient does not mean primitive, and that mystery is not an invitation to fantasy, but a call to look deeper, to respect the ingenuity of our ancestors. They are a humbling and magnificent reminder that the drive to create, to understand our world, and to seek meaning in the stars is a thread that connects all of humanity across the centuries. If these ancient wonders have sparked your curiosity and you want to continue unraveling the greatest puzzles of our past, then journey with us. Subscribe to Ancient Odyssey, and let's keep exploring the world's oldest stories together.